And he would come to these communities not even knowing these kids and all of that, and pass the money to the kids. I still couldn't even believe it, that this was actually true. Like, man, you tripping, man. You tripping, man. I know you just ain't just robbing the church and then taking all the money and going to the community, the black community, and take the money and pass it out. It just don't sound right to me. It just, it's like there's something to it. And it's like, damn. It's like, yeah. And another thing what kind of shocked me was, he said that he from New York, and he would go state to state doing this all over the country, robbing the churches, going to the local community, passing out the money to the black kids. I still couldn't believe it. Marcelli sitting here and he confirming, like, these the same stories he told me when we got to this conversation. I couldn't believe it. I was like, nah, man. You mean to tell me you in the feds for robbing the churches? And the feds grabbed you and put you in jail. He was like, yeah, because of the fact that I went around the whole country doing the same thing. And he had a couple of accomplices, the women accomplices, but I don't know if they went to jail or none of this. I'm not sure. I said to go even further. I said, man, stop it, man. I just can't, just grasp that. It's like, nigga, you in the feds for that? Like, yeah. I say, man, show me some documentation. I went to the outside, I think the next day or two passed or whatever. Went outside and came back in. Marcelli like, B brought you something. It's on your bed. Look at it. It's his PSI. Everything that he sat down on at the table and told me the stories that he was robbing the churches and giving it to the black kids in the communities that he robbed the church in, confirmed that, because the PSI tell everything about your case. Talked about how he going state to state, Virginia, all through the country, robbing churches and passing the money out. And on the PSI, if you ever, you know what I'm talking about. PSI is a pre-sentence investigation report. They have all the information, the contacts of what you, your charges, your crime, the amount of time you have, your family history, alias names. And this is a key thing. Even under your alias, I should have pulled this paperwork out, and I apologize to my peoples, because I could show y'all some of these things so that y'all can see, because I want this channel to be a little more informative too as well, along with the stories. So the PSI give you all your history about your family, your sister, your brother, everybody. I'm talking about, the feds are so in depth. You have siblings, brothers, sisters, cousins, and all of that. They track your family generation down, and they know how much each person made, how much money they make a year, this and that. But that's another story. I'll get into that later. But getting back to the PSI, B-Lee, it's an informative sheet of paper. Not a sheet, it's like a pamphlet. Informative about your case and everything that the feds got on you, And plus they don't put everything in here, because it's a what you call Freedom of Information, that you'll have to file for a Freedom of Information Act to even get some hidden shit. And I can show y'all how to do that, or tell y'all about what angles to go if y'all hit the comments in below if y'all want to know about that. And knowing about doing the Freedom of Information is, they'll tell you can research yourself in depth, like from years ago in your life and all of that, that things that you don't know. That's what the Freedom of Information. I can show y'all how to go about starting that process. If y'all hit the comments in below. Y'all just now tuning in, hit that like and subscribe button. But back to the story at hand. Grab a PSI, and I'm going through this PSI. You know, I see his name, all of this. So and at this point, PSIs is not getting fabricated. This early on in my federal prison sentence, it was a different caliber of men in prison. At this time, people was coming to jail for having money and making money. Now, guys just going to jail just to be going to jail. Guns, just being drug addicts, man. Just it's sad, man. I watched the generations come in behind me, and it got worse. You know, not that it's good on no level, but it's just the caliber of men that started coming in after me. So as I go through his PSI, and they give you a subsection about your case and the things, a description of the things that you was doing, and these very stories that he was giving me was on the paper. And I'm going through his PSI. He had told me, he's like, what? I was like, they was chasing you. The FBI was chasing you and all of that. And he was like, yeah, they was chasing me. And they only had a description, and they was only chasing Robin Hood. I said, Robin Hood? The fictional ass story that Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. He was like, yeah, that's what they named me. I say, they named you Robin Hood? I couldn't even believe that. So that what made me like, man, stop. Because even in my PSI, all the names that I used along the years when I was having traffic tickets and ducking the police and giving false names and making up names and everything, all of that shit that go with it, when they catch up with you, they gonna catch all of that shit and bring it together, and they gonna know all your little alias that's attached to you. When I got to his alias part, they actually used his alias in his PSI, and it clearly with bold letters, Robin Hood, alias, who he go by, like Robin Hood. He actually took the church money and passed it to the kids. He only targeted certain churches that he felt like whatever. I can't even get a reason of why he targeted, but it was a reason that he had gave me of why he targeted certain churches and did that. You know, I don't know if he thought the preacher was not giving back to the community. He said that when people give, I know that for, you know, from my understanding and wisdom, that if people give money to the churches, the church is supposed to be able to give back to the community. So I don't know if that was his case of why he was really robbing the churches, but he wasn't just robbing the churches. He was actually taking the money, robbing the churches, going through the countries, sitting in these churches and waiting on the collection plate and robbing them, and then taking the money, pass the money out to the kids, and go to the next state and do the same thing. Saying that he barely keep enough just to get to the next state and go work and do the same thing with these two women. I was like, oh my God. And when I got the PSI, it showed everything that he sat down at the table and told me. So I met the real Robin Hood. The fictitious stories that y'all read about and all of that, y'all just read about it. I actually met Robin Hood, one of the top guys that FBI